Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to be answering another question. This question is: do you have a favorite character that you've written about, or a character you enjoy most writing about? Now, it's difficult because I've never been one to pick favorites when it comes to everything in my life. Um, for the longest time, I didn't have a favorite movie. I would have favorites, but I could never pick a single favorite because it changes so often. Like, favorite movies, we got like, Coraline and Kiki's Delivery Service and stuff like that have stuck with me for a very long time, but I can't ever pick a single favorite, even when it comes to music. I think Korn has overtaken Gorillaz because Korn has been more consistent and more emotionally, more of an emotional attachment for me, whereas Gorillaz was always just kind of like, I don't know, it was like a freedom of imagination kind of thing. When it comes to writing, especially, I find it inordinately challenging to land on a favorite because none of the characters are complete. When you see them in the story, there's still more to them. Unless they're dead, then their story is over. But then again, you still have, like, you might see them in a prequel, they might be referenced to, or whatever have you. But, like, I mean, I've, I want to say a character I most enjoy, a character my favorite character I've written about would probably be Chrism, because she's just so interesting and she just has so much inconsistent depth to her. Um, her history was a mystery. To make a little poem, her history was a mystery for the longest time. So everything she said was so enigmatic. Just like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then when you got to explore the history in Devil to the Damned, you got to see just like she was just a person with an unfortunate set of circumstances, which usually is the case, but like even more so for her, she drew the shortest of short straws. Twice in a row, she won the bad luck lottery. I mean, with the whole sin thing, that wasn't bad luck. That was a magnetism to misery. So like at that very moment, you know, all that swelling, petulant negative energy was like a beacon that drew sin in. So it was serendipitous in a way, but whatever. I'm not going to get into that. So that entire arc, that entire history, I think is the most interesting because it does fill in so many plot details and so many overarching details. It fills out the world the most, the world beneath the world, because the book universe is basically just our universe on the surface. The characters are experiencing a very normal 2003 world, until you know the shadow demons and the shadows come out to play, because at this point, at the point of book one in the story, you know um, other demons are prevented from being on Earth, whereas they were before. They still were secretive, but like, you know the world is as clean of evil as it has ever been until sin, kind of got his machinations in order. So, but I do think that the one character, like, that was the one story I enjoy writing the most. I know I'm not answering this question extremely directly because I want to give a little bit more context to my thought process behind it. So I'm kind of like answering it by coming at it from different angles. But like, my favorite character I've written about was definitely Chrism, with her whole story, her whole plot line. But a character I enjoy mostly writing about in like a present tense, probably, and the character I enjoy historically writing the most and I get excited to write about the most, would just be Kim. She is the main character, even though she's like, Chrism's the main character of the universe, Kim's the main character of the story, kind of thing. And I'm gonna say right now, spoilers. I'm going to put it in the title, spoilers. So from this point on, if you haven't read, if you're not caught up, don't continue watching this video. But writing Kim in book one has always been such an expression of myself and a lot of my own struggles and a lot of impulsive thoughts and dark desires that I've had in my brain and growing up and like all these like imaginary scenarios. I used to always pretend like, oh, I was the hero in my dreams. I was daydreaming about being a hero, and I was at the same time I was daydreaming about just fucking brutalizing somebody who wronged me. You know what I mean? So those things that are just in my brain, just like a little bruise on my brain, but obviously don't come out because I'm not gonna do that to people. That ain't it. But Kim is just like a conduit for those things, and all the characters are a piece of me in some way or another. Some aren't like, well, I'm not gonna like go into details about every character, but like they all hold like a little aspect of myself or some inspiration from something in my life or whatever have you. And Kim has always just been like the mold that I've been able to pour myself directly into in a way, whereas like the dregs of myself have been dispersed and deposited into other characters. So Kim is like representing, and don't quote me on this, not as like a definitive thing, but Kim is like representing that middling frustration and paralytic daily trudge to get into that. Like she's always like just stuck and unable to do anything and too afraid to try anything, and has like her spikes of anger, but usually subsides because she can't act on it until that inhibition is removed from her. So I think I enjoy, and I've always, and after book one, when I had a break from writing Kim, and was writing book two and Devil to the Damned and whatnot, coming back to this current book, again, spoiler, coming back to this current book that I'm writing right now and returning to the perspective of Kim has been wonderful and fulfilling in a lot of ways because I'm rounding out a lot of those rough edges. I'm sanding down the edges of the character, and it is feeling like it will be complete at a point. Almost, not entirely. It's like 80% complete for the character, but her arc is not finished. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm not gonna take too long, but I've enjoyed writing Chrism when it comes to her entire plot and her storyline because it is so far reaching. It's rooted in so many things, and whenever she shows up, I just get to express a lot of just like weird abstract way of speaking and abstract concepts. Sorry, I can't speak right now. And also just writing the non-dialogue sections of Devil to the Damned were some of my favorite things to do because like every page of that was poetry in a way. I had the most fun writing some of that shit, and a lot of that stuff was expressed with Kim as well. And I didn't really get a lot of that from writing in book two and writing transgression because a lot of it is like how the character is observing the world, and so how Kim observes it is a lot in that deep thinking kind of way and a lot of like that supernatural implication kind of way, even if she didn't realize it. And Chrism is well aware of those things, so she has like all these universal concepts that she's applying to the story around her and to the world around her. So it's most fun writing that stuff, but I do enjoy writing Kim the most because it feels extremely natural and it just kind of flows. At least it did in book one. I'm having a little bit trouble with it in the book I'm writing right now because it's a little bit complicated, but like, oh man, if you want to talk about complicated, Devils at the Damned was the hardest and most complicated story I've ever written, and I think book three might tie that when I get to it. And actually, you know what? Come to think of it, I really do enjoy writing Alice at the same time because she is Kim, but Kim without the inhibition and with just such a bloody desire. So it's like she's just straight up raw nerves, is what Alice is. So like, yeah, and I enjoy writing every character. Every character has their own quirks and their own things that I get to apply and mess around with and see how they react. And Kim has been the most consistently enjoyable. Chrism was the like a gleaming light of enjoyment, and then Alice is just like devious, and that's a lot of fun. So yeah, I don't know. I hope that answered the question. I know it's not incredibly direct, but that's kind of my thought process on those things. So Thank you for watching. If you want to see more questions I've answered, there is a playlist that I hopefully will remember to put at the end of this video. And go to vengeancebooks.com, patreon.com/LinkinsLegion, etsy.com/shop/AHLincoln. All the links down in the description below. Thank you. Bye-bye.